before you start lighting up the torches, watch the damn video. In this book, My Lunches with Orson is a long discussion interview with Orson Welles where he talks about his career as an actor, director, his movies, and a look behind what was in his mind. His words have enlightened my days with his enriching knowledge, such as, I hate Woody Allen physically. I dislike that kind of man. Well, I guess I know how he would feel about me, but enough about me. What caught my attention about the book is when he mentions the critics. If you're gonna be an interesting critic, you gotta have a little shing. It's alright to be wrong, but you gotta be interesting. I'm more upset by the regular, average, just plain critics. Well, I guess I know how he would feel about most YouTube critics out there. Don't worry, he would hate me as well. But enough about me and them. You're here because I have a very provocative title to what it is universally considered as the greatest movie of all time. So good that it makes it in almost every #1 spot as the best film ever. So good that it is shoved down in every film student's throats that it is the greatest thing ever. I would like to tell you why Citizen Kane is the greatest film ever. I would like to tell you how it revolutionized cinema. But if I did, this would be just another of the several thousand videos and articles that have praised this movie, thus, this wouldn't be as interesting. There is almost nothing new I can add that has already been said. Even Donald Trump has made a review of Citizen Kane. Who would tell?
No, if you could give Charles Foster Kane advice, what would you say to him?
Get yourself a different woman.
But you know, as Orson once put it in the book, art is subjective. When it comes to our opinion about art, nothing is set in stone. It's okay to admit that something is good or bad, as he was as well skeptical about the art he personally liked. I wish some critics would say, you know, this is all trash, but nobody has. Well, if I can make it a little more interesting, let me try it in this different format. I hate Citizen Kane. Here is why. Let's go back to a time before Dano Snap the Earth's Half, when the excitement on the TV show was very out. Before Marvel had to bow down to Nolan, yes! Before Netflix turned us into lazy bums. Motion capture wasn't around, making us look like fools. CGI was too advanced, no Pixar, no. A revival hasn't come to Disney, no dumb blood. Action heroes were not a gentleman thing. 80s were nostalgic yet, no the 70s, no the 60s. Harvey Weinstein wasn't a hungry power rapist yet. Say goodbye to Tim Burton, Tarantino, Kubrick's films. Taxi Driver hasn't felt the bull's rushing punch. No more Star Wars, Lucasfilms, Kurosawa, Spielberg, no! Alfred hasn't frightened us so badly in the shower. 2001 goes back at being zero, very sad. Same goes for 007, Monroe wasn't so hot yet. New Italian wasn't around, or the French, or Japan. Brad say new Hispanic films were very, very alive. Musicals haven't died, or the Westerns, or Eastwood, or Malin, Audrey, Newman, Davis, Heston, Wayne, Grant, Bogart, James Dean, and I forgot to say as well Boy, I just erased a bunch of decades of your entertainment. But for the sake of this one, let's put ourselves back in here, where the most innovation in film was a racist epic, German expressionism, the Soviet montage, a silent clown, the first talking picture, the monster universe, the first full-length animated picture, a fable, and the biggest box office hit of all time. Then comes along Orson Welles, who went from being a radio and theater star into a maverick actor and director. At age 24, he was granted full control over his movies, which was unspoken of for someone that young. He could act, write, and direct whatever he pleased. This would also grant him to experiment and try new innovations for his directorial and co-starring debut in Citizen Kane. Some of his innovation included how he worked with the camera, the visual style, and the editing. The way the story was edited felt new at that time. The film opens up with Kane spewing out his final words in bed. Rosebud. Then a group of reporters investigates what was the meaning behind Rosebud, so they interview any affiliates that were associated with him while showing through flashbacks his rise into news media, to power, and his downfall into loneliness. The usage of flashbacks was not new before Citizen Kane, but it felt new because in the old Hollywood, it was common to tell a linear story rather than spoil the ending at the very beginning, like Kane did. And ever since, flashbacks have been constantly used in film. But there was such mystery surrounding what is Rosebud that we were intrigued to sit through the end until we knew what it was.
Maybe Rosebud was something he couldn't get or something he lost. No, I guess Rosebud is just a piece in a jigsaw puzzle.
The movie is more often praised for its technicality, as I mentioned with the editing. For the camera, Orson experimented with shots that looked impressive at that time, like the camera traveling through the sign of a roof. At times it felt like a documentary with the opening montage of Kane's life, the interviewers, the flashbacks, which honestly, I believe this format suited Orson far better than his linear stories, as shown in his later films like F for Fake and The Other Side of the Wind. In the old Hollywood, it was more accustomed to have the camera stand straight and hide the roof of the set, because they had no roof. Instead, Orson would use low angles and high angles, where you saw the characters from above making the background look bigger, or from below making the characters look bigger than life. The deep focus shot was as well innovative, where the shot had the foreground at the front, then another subject distant to the midground, then you can see the background far beyond, making the shot look big and massive. And that's what caught the attention of so many. The film looked big and massive, leading to some of the most haunting visuals with the usage of lighting, sound effect, and it's black and white. To this day, these visuals have been celebrated and parodied by others. From a technical standpoint, Citizen Kane was an achievement in revolutionizing how directors could work with the camera and deliver some of the most memorable, most impactful images in film. And I hate it. I hate it because over the years, other innovations have come along like Inception, one that many argue is one of the best films in recent time, but it has to take a backseat to Grandpa Kane. I would argue that Orson's last film, The Other Side of the Wind, which is in Netflix, is as innovative and one of the greatest films that no one will ever know. I hate Citizen Kane because it pushes other films into its shadows. I once tried to compare it to Social Network, two stories about a young man that works in a news media type of field, and in the end end up being alone. But you know what? While I was writing it, I got pretty bored. Then I realized I had no desire to make this comparison, because Citizen Kane is incomparable. I can't put it aside another movie without overshadowing the other. That is why this comparison will never see the light of the day. Maybe this could place Citizen Kane as too unique? Even Orson believed that Kane was so good that not only should he have retired from filmmaking, but ever since then, nothing new has ever come up in theaters. I believe that movies, I'll say a terrible thing, have never gone beyond Kane. That doesn't mean that there haven't been good movies or great movies, but everything has been done now in movies to the point of fatigue. I hate Citizen Kane because I agree with the last part, and honesty is very annoying. In the book, Orson mentions that Kane is a comedy, not a laughing type of comedy, but a tragic one for what it's parodying. The movie was rumored to be based off the life of William Randolph, who just like Kane was a news publisher and a politician. Orson would deny it so the real Randolph would stop trying to make the film not happen. However, the character also takes inspiration from Orson as well. They both lost their mothers at a young age, and their influence shaped them to whom they became. As much as Kane is clever and sophisticated, he was also a womanizing, power-hungry, lying, abusive, over-controlling man. From what I know about Orson in the book, he spends most of the time trolling other actors and group of people, which is pure entertainment. And I hate it. I hate it because as a comedy, it's not funny. And if this is a biographical film, I hate it as well. Because of Kane, I can never watch a biographical tale more than once and then feel bored after the second viewing. I can never see Gary Oldman in that fat suit more than once, while Citizen Kane I've already seen 6 times. With commentary from Roger Ebert, Citizen Kane ruined biographical films for me. Can something so good be that bad? Well, Citizen Kane is like that person who's dating your crush. Maybe is better looking, better physique, more interesting, has more money than you, maybe is funnier than you, and you know it, and you can't do anything about it. As much as other great innovative films have come along, in the end, they get the short of the stick to Kane, saying, "Oh, you're good, but Kane is better. Respect to the elders." What's most notably praised about Kane is that it is the ultimate American film. It shows the American dream, how you can build something for yourself, then lose it all at the end. But honestly, is it perfect? Well, some may not find the story that interesting. How did they know Kane said Rosebud when no one was there to listen to him? Oh, and there are dinosaurs in this film. No, I'm serious, those are real dinosaurs brought back by the power of lazy editing. Regardless, this movie will always have the higher hand above new innovative films. I hate Citizen Kane because it's so good that it's frustrating. Now don't worry, if Orson Welles was still alive, he would also hate this review.
Pasito tum tum, pasito tum tum, pasito